Hello, Internet. Let's get going. Setting up a few things. Is there anybody there? Text box is up. Sign into chat, hey? Hello. That works. Think we're live. Oh, hello. Off-road 5246. Thanks for joining the stream. How you going? Good to see you on. Hopefully get a few more join on as we go through the night. But if you have any questions while we're modeling, feel free to let me know in the chat. All right, getting started. So for those that jump on and catch the replay, because there's not many on live, which is fine. Hello and welcome to Fully Defined. My name is Chris, and in this stream, I'm going to be using SolidWorks to do some part modeling. And I have in front of me a bunch of parts from this Lego set, Boba Fett's Starship Microfighter, that I will be modeling live and measuring with calipers and showing you my workflow. And anyone is welcome to ask me questions throughout, and I'll stop and answer as soon as I get a chance. This stream is built on the back of my school community, which you can find under Fully Defined. The school community is a place where I can capture all of my different classes and lessons, including all the Lego models that I've built. I can put that all together in a series of classes. You can see here, ranging in difficulty. You can download all the files, SolidWorks files or step files, and follow along at your own pace. And all the classes include a series of different lessons for different parts. So if there's certain geometry that you're wanting to learn, you can go and see the video and the demo on how to do it. The community is growing bit by bit. We're up to 83 members, probably crack 100 in the next couple of weeks, and onwards and upwards through there. It's all free. There is one paid course, which is my Designer Foundations to CSWA course. If you've done that on Udemy, just let me know and I can give you access to the course in my classroom as well. And I encourage anyone that's on there to post questions whenever, and I try and answer them live where I can. All right, so let's get into modeling. This is the third week we've been modeling this Lego set. So we've gone through quite a few parts already. All the ones in green we have done. I think there's this yellow part here. We'll probably try and find that. That's one that should be a quick edit. So we're going to get through the rest of the parts tonight. I'm pretty hopeful I can do all of them in the space of 2 hours, which if we have a look on my screen, let's just see if we've got it here. Yep, all of these parts. There's quite a few, but through using some existing files, some existing geometry, we should be able to do this pretty quickly. All right, so I'm going to show you, my workflow, my processes to create all of this detail very accurately to parts that we can then fit together in an assembly. So we're going to try and get through all of these in the next 2 hours, and that should cover us for then the majority of these parts. And then we can start building the assembly. And if we get it all done and get to the assembly tonight, that'll be great. We'll get started in that. If not, we'll look at doing the assembly in the stream in the next stream that comes up. So, yeah. If there's any sort of part of geometry that you're interested in seeing, let me know, and I'll try and tackle it for you. So I'm going to work through the list. Just the ones I've circled are some key ones that I thought might be interesting with some revolve detail. I don't know if I have all of those parts there. We'll see. I do have the physical parts in front of me, which I use to measure with these calipers. So I'll show you a bit more of that as we go. Now, if we flick over to SolidWorks, you can see all the parts we've done so far. I didn't realize we've done this black one here, so I can tick that off. That's another one we have done. Yep, that is ticked off. Great. All right, so let's get into it. And first we'll do this one in the top left corner. So you'll see a bit of my process. I use a couple of websites as reference. So I use rubricable.com. Rubricable I use because it shows me the file name that I want to use for my parts. And sometimes it has some preview of some of the geometry as well, which is good for reference. This is what I'm going to call this part. And if I already have a part that has similar detail, I can use that as reference, but I don't think I have one like that. We'll just have a quick look at my library. Now, all my library, all my parts is available to you through the school community. So if you are interested in any of these, jump into the community, grab a membership, it's free. Once you've got access, you can find the fully defined CAD library, and that will show you all of these files and where you can get them. So there's direct links to all the parts and to this kind of public folder as well. This part here looks pretty similar to the one we're creating. So we might use that as a reference point to start. So I'm going to open that part. And so the process of this part I'll show you is how we can use some existing geometry and modify it to create the new one. Okay, so you can see it here. I might zoom in on that very quickly. Let's just see. Zoom. Something about there looks pretty good. Okay. All right, that's a little bit easier to see. Now, so the part we're looking at is just solid on 3 sides. And then it has the same detail here on one side. Very first step, we want to save this as, and we'll give it a new file name. Brick special. Now I've pasted that in, but this backspace won't work here, so I'll just change that to a dash and save it. And now I'm going to modify it. So when I'm modifying, I'll start by deleting any features I don't need. First feature I don't need is this little cut on the bottom. I'm just going to go and clear that one out. Second feature, the shell on keep this cut here in the rear. I don't need that, so I'm going to delete that feature. Now the shape of this, I think it's going to be slightly different. See, it's got this front that's kind of cut off. We don't have that in our one. So now I'm going to roll up to the top of the tree and look at how this one was built. And we can see it's got that cut in the sketch geometry. Now there's an easy way that I can modify the existing geometry by using a delete face tool on these 2 faces, and that's going to square off that section, but I'd rather go in and edit the original sketch because then I can update the height as well at the same time. So let's just double check some dimensions. So I've got the length there 7.8, and the height 15.9. So I'm going to trim these two lines, and when I trim the line, when I trim the line here that has the dimension, that's going to remove the dimension on that line. Same for the top, and then I can just trim them off, and they're already dimensioned with these other two lines, so it still is fully defined. So then I can update the dimension on the side. Let me just double check that size again, 15.9, good. And press OK on the sketch, and that updates the detail for me. Now the width 7.8, that's going to be correct. So now I can roll down the tree and see what features come next. Now it's got the stud on the top. I've got a dangling sketch there. So the dangling, that's what any that are yellow or brown are called, these relations. So because I removed the original edge, it's lost its reference. I just need to bring that back. That's fully defined. So that'll be correct. And then we've got our one on the front. Now the one on the front is going to be the same, but there's two of them. And I'm going to change the sketch plane. I'm going to put it on the back side. And the reason for that, I'll explain in a second. When I'm doing the extrude that goes all the way through, this means when I measure it from one end to the other, like this, I can put that dimension straight in. So 9.6, 1.6, and that's going to stick out the front the correct dimension. So all I've got to do here is update the position and increase the number of those. Now there's going to be two of them. So we'll go with a linear sketch pattern. We're going to change it to the y-axis, 8mm spacing. Now, that looks wrong here, and I can tell it's because the bottom one's in the wrong position. So how can we try and work out the right position from here, like to get a dimension from edge to edge? There's a few ways. One might be, like you can do it by eye from the middle, or the calipers won't go down all the way here and get that edge exactly. They'll get very close. And I'm on a little bit of a lean, but I'm getting 6.7. So that 8mm, let's change that to 6.7. And that updates the position of both of them. Press OK. And now I'll roll down on the shell. The shell feature just needs a quick update. It's missing a face, but that's okay. I don't need that face. It's going to remove the material all the way up to the top. That looks pretty good. I can double check the thickness. 1.55. I've got it here as 1.2, so different thickness for this part. And then the delete face feature there, we can remove that, and now we have the updated part. And to finish it off, we can just apply, I think we've only got one color of this part in our assembly, so we'll apply a dark gray, which is going to kind of make it look black. So that part is done. Alt or Control Tab to flick across to the assembly. I'll insert the component, just drop it in, and that is another one checked off. Quick and easy, just the way we like it. We're going to try and fly through these. All right, the next one on the list is the square flat piece. I think we've done something similar in the past, and we have a rectangular one here, so let's use that as a reference. So that part that we're about to do is this one. And on screen camera, just show you here. Very, very simple part. It is a 2x2 tile with a groove. Now, the single version one doesn't have that groove on the bottom, so that will be a new detail we'll add in. So let's save as. And I'm just going to paste the name, 2x2 with groove, save that as, and update our dimensions. Now, I expect the details the same around the edge. Just getting a tool. All right, this tool, this edge detail around here, it's got a little lip, same as the CAD we can see on screen on the bottom. So we're going to replicate that. All we need to do, I think, for this part is to increase this number, 15.8. The height's going to be the same. We just want to add the detail on the bottom, which is that circle. So we can sketch on either face. Let's sketch on this face. And this should be something that we can dimension or measure pretty easily. So let's go inside of the circle. It's 5, and then thickness of the circle, 0.8. So we'll do just one circle of 5, and then the height of that detail pretty much goes to this top surface. So that's easy. I'm going to hit extrude. I'm going to change to a thin feature and put in my dimension. This saves me from having to sketch the second circle. And then my direction is going to go up to surface. I'm going to go up to this surface here. So not quite all the way to the top. There we are. Very quick and easy on that one. There's a couple of configurations in the file. We're just going to remove those. We don't need them. And the color, we just want to make sure it's the same as the other one. Kind of black. And let's chuck that back into the assembly. Another one done. We're flying. 2 parts done in 19 minutes. Little bit of speed modeling. Now this part here I couldn't find in my pile of parts. So we might have to save that one. I'm sure I've got some part that's very similar. It's just a singular and a round cap that's not the tire. See, this one is very, very similar. So let's open that one up. And we can have a look at the part and its file name. It's got a hollow bar at the top. Now we may have a part that's got a hollow bar like that, which we can use as reference. So let's save it and move on and name it. So if we wanted one that had a hollow bar that had a similar detail, I think I saw one down the bottom. So this bar would be very similar. It's hollow. So I'm going to guess it's a lot like that little handle part where I think that was a bit bigger. I think I'll just have to find the part later. But we can add some rough detail here because it's just got a section that comes up. So we'll flag this as one that we'll fix up later. I'll put a 4mm dimension. This one I will dimension with a thickness, so 15.8. And give it a 4mm dimension up. We'll save, put into the assembly. And what I expect is when we assemble this with the other parts later, we might find some interference, and that will remind us that we have to change the model or update the model by finding the real part and getting a correct measurement in there. All right, let's move on to this one. This one of the first real tricky parts tonight, or interesting parts. It's very small. It's a bit hard to see, but we'll jump over and have a look. There is 3 of them in the assembly. It is a weapon lightsaber hilt. So probably in a few of the Star Wars models, and there's a few variations. We're doing this one with a ring. And if we have a look at our zoom, here we go. We can see some of the detail. So it does have that kind of linear circular pattern. I don't know exactly how we'll do that yet, but this detail around the bottom edges. Okay, but everything else is a revolve. So it's a nice simple one to do with a single sketch profile for a revolve feature. Hello to anyone that's joined the stream. Recently we are modeling some Lego parts. All right, we'll save that, copy that name, and we will start a new file. And we'll start our sketch on the front plane. And the very first thing we'll do is put a line up the middle, just for construction for the revolve. Hello, FPV Kev. How you going? Thanks for dropping by. All right, when we're doing a revolve like this, first dimension, we can get the overall height. Very easy. 15.8, I'm going to round that. Now, if it's solid in the middle, then we will want a solid line through the middle section. So I'll just change that back to solid for now. And any parts that aren't solid we'll sort out afterwards. So 15.8 is going to give us our scale, proportions. And now we're going to measure on the outside. So before we measure, I'm going to just sketch roughly the profile that I can see. And the zoom cam kind of helps here. I'm also using my eyes, which in the dark is a little bit hard. So it comes down, out, goes right in. It's got 2 little steps. So when I'm sketching here, I'm just trying to follow closely in the proportions, but I know I'll add dimensions and change things later, so it's okay if it's a little bit off. Now this part at the very bottom, I'm going to skip the additional sections. I'm going to add that on afterwards. So I'm trying to just look at the main shape, which looks like it comes down straight, it goes out a little bit, and then comes down the very end. And then the bottom is hollow, so that needs to have an opening, something like this. Okay, so it's not perfectly proportioned, but our sketch here has the rough shape that we're going to end up with. Now, this top section here, I want to convert that to construction. So I'm going to use the Split Entities tool. It's going to split that line. And what that lets me do is select this segment of the line and make that for construction. I can do the same in this section. And so when I zoom in, I can just move this one down and move this one up. And that's going to simplify my revolve when it comes time to do that step. All right, so now some dimensions. So we've got our sketch in place. Now we're going to measure some of these elements. So outside to outside, when we're doing this, I can select the outside, select the construction line, roll over, and then put in my dimension. And that's going to give me like a diameter. Now, it might stuff up some of the sizing. Okay, you might find it goes like this, that's fine. Just adjust your sketch afterwards. Hello, hello Kalila, and Aja, and Himan 3503. Welcome to the stream. It's going very well, thanks. How are you? What are you up to? Hanging out on YouTube, I would guess. Very good. Just doing some SolidWorks modeling here, modeling some Lego parts as part of a model set, which I'll show shortly after finishing this part. So I'm going to do the inside hole here, and then the next outside measurement, 5.9. So we can get all the diameters done, and then we can adjust the heights afterwards. 3.2, this middle section. You're well now? Very good. Glad to hear it. All right, so I've done this section. That line is turned black. So that one's fully defined. I just want to get these two in line with it as well. So I'm going to select all three and make them collinear. And that will make these other ones fully defined as well. The section at the bottom, let's mention that. That is 4.9 as well. And inside that section is 3.2. So I think that's matching on both ends. Yep, 4.9, 3.2. Good. Now we're going to do the height of this lower section. 3.2. And if we look at the wall thickness, so one way that we can dimension the wall thickness here, it's probably going to be a consistent wall thickness with what's on the outside. By what I mean is this section here, this thickness. So I'm going to select this edge and this construction line that I've just put in and make them equal. That gives a consistent wall thickness through that area. All right. If I turn on shaded contours, you can see a bit more clearly what we've done. So I need to get some height details in at the top. This is pretty small, so it's a bit hard to get these ones as accurate. We go 1.8 millimeter here. And then for the outside of that section, 3.6. So just slow and steady, working through it. Let's assume this thickness is the same as at the bottom. So I put a construction line in and grab that construction line and this edge and make them equal. It fully defines that. So then we've just got those two details in the middle to get accurate. I'm going to do the gap between them. 5.2. And then each of those little ribs, it's measuring at like 0.8. So we're going to make some assumptions here. I'm going to assume that they're all equal, including the little gap. And hasn't quite worked out. Let me try that again. So I'm going to say, like, let's say those are all equal. Now we bring that down. And these are equal as well. Oh, might just adjust it a little bit more first. Try again. That's better. And then I was going to say that that's 0.8. And now that section's all fully defined. Looks close, but maybe this one, that isn't correct. So I'll keep these two collinear. And I'm just going to bring that gap up a little bit because I think it looks a little bit closer at the top. So 1 millimeter. All right, that is done. I'm going to hit revolve. There's two construction lines, so I'm going to select the top one. Press OK. And there is my finished shape. Now, I don't think these bits stick out as far as I've sketched them. And if I measure the diameter, I can see they're 4.2. So I'm going to go back and actually change those relations that I put in. Don't think they're all correct. So just remove a couple of those and use this one here. Put a new dimension in. So instead of 4.8, that becomes 4.2. I'll keep these two lines equal, which will keep the distance in between them the same. Now that looks better. All right, halfway there, or over halfway. Let's save the file. And now for that little detail at the bottom, it's very, very small, as we saw on this screen here. These little elements at the bottom. We're going to do it as 4 little separate elements. Let's just have a quick look up close. I don't know if we can even zoom in enough to get a good shot. So it comes down over the top and then down. Right, so it sticks out a little bit and there's 4 sections. So if we measure the width of one, 1.4 millimeters. The rest of it we'll just do by eye. So we'll go on the right plane. And it's going to be pretty simple. What we're going to do, I'm going to do a section view. And we're going to make sure it goes outside. Starts inside the feature, comes out, up through an angle, inside the body, and then we'll extrude it out. What did I say? I think it was 0.4 or 1.4. 1.4. So now we've got the rough appearance. Let's put in some dimensions, get it fully defined. Use our origin as a reference. I can measure how big it is outside to outside. This is 5.9. Would make this 2.95. I think it looks like a 45-degree angle. All right, so quickly putting in the rest of the dimensions that we need. Make these two parallel. All right, and then the key thing that we want to see when we extrude this We're going to go mid-plane and put in our dimension 1.4. I just want to make sure it's not leaving a gap anywhere where it's extruding out. Now that looks pretty good. It's all within the edges. So press OK. Turn off section view. And there is our little detail. So that's reasonably close to what we can see here. And then I'm going to put that in a circular pattern feature. So circular pattern feature, under linear pattern, press circular pattern. We need something to revolve around the pattern. We can just use this round at the bottom. And then for feature, we can just click on the feature in the viewport. We get the preview. There is only 4 of these being rotated around. Press OK. And there you have it. Detail is done and the part is done. Nice work if you're following along. Anyone have any questions on that process or any of the shortcuts that I've used? If you're curious on any of my workflow or hotkeys, etc., feel free to ask me as we go. Let's drop that one in and move on to the next one. So another one done. 4 parts so far today, that's good. This gun part, I'm going to leave that one. Not actually used for the assembly. That's just the gun that Boba Fett holds. So I'm just going to put that to the side. We'll come back to that one another time, I think. I want to move on to something a little bit more complex. So we're going to do this one next. This has a bit more to it. There's 2 of them, and it's very similar to some parts we've already created. So I'm wondering if we should start with one of them. I think we probably should. Let's find it in the files here. So we'll do this one first, and I will show you how to do a mirror version of these to save time as well. This is a wedge slope, 3x3. All right, and from the parts we've already created, this is very similar, but I think this one might be a better starting point. So we're going to open this part. Now, important, if I want to save a copy of this part, is when I go save as, if I just go save as copy and open, it's going to override the existing file and replace it in the assembly. I don't want to do that. I want to save a copy, but I want to have that copy open and then be able to bring both into the assembly at the same time. So I'm going to do it this way. Now I better make sure that I've got the right version because there is a right and a left part here. And we're going to work on the left one first. So let me just look at this image. And it looks like the left one, oh, here's the warning. So I want to make sure I'm going to close the original because I just want to work on the copy. Okay. So here, this is the correct size. So this is the left part that we're going to use for our example. Okay, so let's have a look at how this was originally built. Use the feature tree, roll up to the top. So I've got the main profile. So that profile we can actually use to do this side. That should be pretty close. It extrudes the stud on the top, then a shell, and then the other features are all underneath. All right, so we're going to have some of those features, but some are going to be completely different. So how we'll do this part, we'll just start with the very first feature and just check the dimensions against this side view here. So let's click and we can see because we've got instant 3D, that's going to let us have a look. All right, so check some dimensions. We've got 9.4 5.5, I ran that up to 9.6, that's fine. The flat section on the top, 7.8. 7.78, I'm right on for that, that's good. 2 millimeters at the bottom, I'm going to guess that that's going to be correct. Close enough, yep. And then 15.8 for the width at the bottom. That's right on as well. Okay, so the side profile is correct. And now we need to extend it wider. So I'm going to grab the full width, which we can see here, 23.9. And we're going to extend it out that far. Hello, Edward. Welcome to the stream. Been a while. Hope you're doing really well, mate. Kev, can you loft to a sketch on another plane? Yes, that is one way of doing this part. It's a good one. It might be a way of doing it. I haven't actually worked out how I'm going to do it yet. I thought as a starting point, I'd just start with the extrude, because that at least gives me the distance, okay? And I know I've got the left side profile, so this side is correct. What I would have to do then is modify this side. Now, lofting it is definitely an option. I don't think draft is an option, because just drafting this face, it's probably going to be pretty hard to control like the end dimension. So if we want to get it really accurate, we probably want to dimension this side separately. And having it here as a starting point makes that quite easy. So I'm going to use this face as a sketch plane. And let's here look at a little bit of a tip for how you can use converted entities, okay, for something like this. So I want to convert the short side into a long side. So I've used my convert entities. I use the C hotkey. So I've converted those edges, and you can see the convert relation on each of those edges, okay? I want all of those edges to be exactly the same except for this one and this one. All I've done is delete the converted or the convert relationship, but the line still is black. It looks fully defined, and it's kind of deceptive because I can click and drag, and now it is underdefined. It's a little bit different, all right? The other three edges still have their convert entities relationships in place. That's important. Now, I can add new relationships. So I want this line and this line, pardon me. I want these two lines to be equal. And I want these two lines here to be parallel. So I add the new relationship, and now I can drag out. And all I have to find now is the end distance, which is very easy to measure. I'm going to go on the bottom shape and just find the maximum, pardon me, which is 23.4. Dimension that line, 23.4. And it's still not fully defined. Last thing I need to do, I can either make this vertical or perpendicular. Let's make it vertical. And now it's fully defined. So I'm going to press OK. I've got my sketch. And now it becomes a very easy loft. So with that loft profile selected, or that sketch profile selected, I'm going to click the other profile here. I'm just going to move the connectors. And there we have our new lofted feature. And we press OK. And now I think we've got a correct form for the part. So loft is a very good solution here. All the faces still remain flat, which is good. Now I can roll down on the feature tree, we already had the stud here, and the stud remains. It's in the center. That's actually okay. I'm going to edit the sketch, and I'm going to do a linear pattern, one direction, 8 millimeters. And then I'm going to use the right plane, select mirror, and mirror that so I've got one on each side. Press OK. And that's updated the next step for me. And this is where using the feature tree really comes into play. Kev, what model are these pieces for? Great question. We are doing this Starship Microfighter. It's a very small model. We just wanted to get back into the swing of doing some Lego sets. So we have created so far all of these pieces in green. This will be the last stream where I model the parts. And then if we don't get up to it today, in the next session, we'll be doing the assembly. So we'll have all the parts together, ready to go. If I Alt-Tab over, you can see all the parts here that we've done so far. So we're getting there pretty close. As I was saying, the feature tree here, using the feature tree, rolling it up and down means that now I can roll down on the shell feature. And because the shell was using the bottom face of the part and that hasn't changed, that feature still works without error. So nice and quick use of that next tool. And we can roll down the next feature. And this is where things will change because the geometry has changed quite a bit. So I don't think any of these last features we're going to reuse. So I'm going to delete those. And then I'll come up and start by adding the detail that we can see here. So I'll clear this one as well and keep going. Kev, awesome. My daughter had a Star Wars mech Lego set for her birthday. Wouldn't mind creating that on SolidWorks myself. A mech robot. There's a lot of good Star Wars Lego out there, which would be pretty cool to do. I picked this one. Yeah, it was one my son got for his birthday, I think. A pretty easy one. Before we do a much harder one very soon with some surfacing is the plan. I might show you guys on stream what I'm planning to do next a little bit later. But we'll get this little series out of the way and then we'll get that next one in planning. Okay, so I've got the detail on the bottom to do. It's all very much at this, just slightly below this top surface. Now we've got the opportunity to see it here because if I put, although we don't have great light behind this, but if you put a flat on a surface from edge to edge, if I can see a gap, so when I hold that up to the screen, like this, so I'm putting a flat thing across the edge and I look at the screen, if I can see light between what I'm holding on the top of it and where those faces are, that means there's a gap. And so I can see that there's a very small gap between these faces and this face on the outside, which means they're not on that top face. They're going to be offset from it. So if I start the sketch on that face, I'm just going to offset them when I do the extrude. So there's 4 of those. And if I just measure the inside of one, 4.9, and then the thickness, 0.8. I can do 4.9 and offset it by 0.8. And then I want to do, there's going to be 4 of those. Those top 2 get cut off a little bit, particularly that one on the top left. If I look for a good way to do this, I'm going to go right plane and mirror. That gets me those 2, and then I'll put the dimension between them of 8. And then I'm going to put another construction line here. I'm going to select these entities and then use the line to mirror and then give that another dimension of 8. And now I just need to fully define it. And if I put this one make those 2 points vertical and these 2 points vertical. I can use the midpoint of this line and the origin to line up those details. And the next one I can actually dimension, because I can go from inside to outside, and I can see that's 5.7. So I can get an accurate dimension there. That should fully define those details. All right, we can see that one on the top edge that's getting cut off. I'm going to ignore that for now. What I'm going to do, I'll do the extrude and then we'll see what happens. So we're going to go, I'm going to go up to surface, and I'm going to offset it 0.2 of a millimeter down. And I'll just change the colors a little bit so you can see a bit better. I'll turn this one on. There we go. All right, so by going to this surface at the very bottom, it means these parts pop through on the outside. I don't really want that detail happening. If I change the feature to up to next, which is probably a better way of doing it, it calculates for me where this one ends and says, hey, there's no actual material there, and then you're on the outside of the volume. That doesn't always work that well, but this one is working pretty well, this option for end conditions. So press OK on that one, and that is a very good result there with what we can see. Now there's a couple of ribs between all those parts, and there's a couple of sections that are cut out at the front. I'm not too fussed about doing those little ribs. They're pretty deep down, a bit hard to measure, but I do want to get this little cut done at the front, because that's going to definitely cause me some interference when I put this into an assembly. So let's put a sketch on that face. We just need to do a couple of rectangles. I'm going to grab these two lines and convert entities. I'm going to measure how far from the edge it is. That one's 2.4. So if I go here to do a straight line, dimension that from the edge, 2.4, and then the gap between them. So there's another one which will be, I should correct that the line is not vertical. Actually goes on an angle, so it's perpendicular to this line. Perpendicular. I'm going to trim this little section before I dimension. And I want to dimension to that end point. There we go, 2.4. Okay, that's cool. So we'll do another line here, also perpendicular, and this is where we can do our gap. So gap between 4.9. Cool. We have another little solid section and then another gap. 2.5 and then 5.3. So another two sketches. 2.5, 5.3. So this is all pretty straightforward, just a little bit tedious. Nothing we're not used to. I can trim off the rest of the sketch if I want to. If I have to trim, or if I choose to trim the middle sections here, and they were to lose some relations, I just might keep them and do my cut extrude using contours, but it looks fine as is. So those two contours are clear. To measure the depth, use the end of my calipers. We'll go down from that edge here, and we get 2.1 millimeters. So I'm going to come down 2.1. I reckon my SolidWorks is just frozen, which would be annoying because I haven't quite saved this part recently. Off-road question, is this style of assembly what they call bottom up? Do you ever do examples of the opposite, bottom down, and how you then split the bodies into parts? Great question. Is what they call bottom up. I always get confused on this because in professional modeling and the work I do, we don't really talk about it that often. We just have to, if it works, it works. And people can use top down or bottom up either way. If we refer to if we look at like a AI response there, Google AI, top down and bottom up, two contrasting methodologies. Top down starts at the macro level, so big picture, breaks it into smaller components, while bottom up starts at the micro level, individual, and builds them outward into a complete system. So bottom up is what we're doing right now because we're building the small ones and then we bring them all together. Top down is where you might start with everything in one and then split out. I typically work top down in my product design work. And I have some examples of that in different videos on the YouTube channel. So in CAD, it's called usually like a master model. So you might have, or a skeleton, depends, different people use them in different ways. Master model is something I use. That terminology is something that I use regularly because I'll have a master model that is driving a lot of detail and then a lot of the geometry, a lot of the parts, and then I'll split those parts out into child parts afterwards. Okay, now my SolidWorks is completely frozen, so while I reset that, it's a great chance for anyone else watching to ask any other questions. But I'll keep talking about Off-Road's question there if there's no other takers. All right, SolidWorks, I'm going to reset you. See you later. So would I ever do Lego top down? It's a very, I don't think so. The way that Lego's built, it's built meant for bottom up. Because you've got all these smaller components already done and you pull them all together. Top down is much more suited to like a product design where you're designing a lot of components that have shared geometry to start from. Now let's see where we got to with this part here. Open. What did the autosave save for me 10 minutes ago? Probably not much. Oh, that's a bit annoying. Okay, let's quickly fly through this. Let's see how much I can remember of this detail. 4.9, offset 0.8. This is where the speed modeling comes in. I'm going to do two sketches here for construction, mirror one way, 8, and then mirror another way, those two this way, 8, and we measured one of them to the outside edge, 5.6. So we'll put that in. It's okay, Kev. Just a little bit of a hiccup mirror these two, this one. Normally I save a bit more often, but I forgot to on this one. So it's cost me about 3 minutes. Oh, why is this one not? It's in a different location. Offset wrong distance. There we go. Okay. And then save. Yes. All right. And then we're quickly going to do this shape here. Those two edges. I really like working top down when I'm doing my own projects. I like working top down because I can have a lot more complexity in one place in a master file than I can in multiple places, like a lot of different Lego parts. If I was doing Lego top down, I might start with, how would I do it? You start with a couple of blocks and you build everything off that using configurations. But that's a bit messy. It's probably not something you're really that likely to do. Whereas product design makes a lot more sense. Okay, let's quickly measure these and then this part's done. And we'll move on. I'll show you the mirrored version. 4.8, 2.6, 5.2, 4.8, we say 2.6, 5.2. All right, and not even bother trimming them. Let's just cut. And this is where we got up to, and then we froze. The depth is 2.2. Undo that, select contour, that, and that, 2.2. Okay, now the part, oh, that doesn't look right. Actually, it might, but it's probably more like 2.1. Yeah, it does look right, actually. I'll bring it back a little bit. Okay. Yeah, I save a lot. Control S all the time. Okay. It's very rare that I lose anything major in SolidWorks. I might lose 10 minutes from time to time. All right, we want to do the opposite hand version of this file. There's a few different ways of doing it. Let's do it kind of as we're talking about here, like driving, having one drive another. So even though this doesn't have multi-bodies to it, off-road, I'll show you how to insert it and then create geometry from this version. Matab, hello. Hello and welcome. Welcome to the stream, Matab. What are you up to, Matab? Practicing to try and beat Ricardo or Dom, I reckon, in some speed modeling competitions coming up. I have not watched for a little while, but good luck. I saw it post from Toby on LinkedIn today saying you're in a competition coming up tomorrow. So best of luck to you. Matab, been wanting to learn Lego designs from you, saw a video about it on your channel. Is that all? Or there's a full series like the buggy one? There's multiple full series, and Matab, you probably might want to join my school community here, which is free. But in this, I have multiple projects. You've done the buggy. You would probably really like this motorcycle one, which is focused on assembly. And there's some really good assembly tricks in this, particularly this chain path stuff. All right, and this project's not focused on the modeling so much. It's a lot more focused on the assembly, but it's all in there. All right, so I would check out this one for sure. And you can do it all through the fully defined school community, including access to the library, which shows you all the parts, the library, which is this thing here. It's all public, accessible. Jump into here, you can see all the files, you can see which ones have videos, etc. And if you don't want to model all the parts, you can just download the SolidWorks files or step files. And it's all free. So check that out, the tab. Yeah. And this is a little project we're doing right now, but we're going to be doing another big one pretty soon. Okay, back to my main thing. So off-road, the way you do it, the top-down assembly, so you create your master file like what we have here, and then I start a new part file. Okay, so this would be intended as my child part. And then I use insert part as a feature, basically, and I'm going to insert the wedge. And when you do this insert part tool, you can have the option to include things like surface bodies or planes or axes or sketches, okay, or materials. And you can actually locate the part, so you can put it in a specific location like you would mates in an assembly. I don't need any of that. I'm going to skip it all. I'm just going to bring in the visual properties and press OK. And it brings in my part file, and you can see it here. And this links to the original. So if I made changes to the original, that'll then show up in this file. And so if you have a master part, you do those details, you break it up in all the child components, and then it'll show you bit by bit where those features are. I do have a couple of longer videos on the channel that show you some of that information, so check them out. Tufik, hello and welcome. Tufik, if you don't mind, I will address that for you right now. If you send another request right now, you can let me know. I will see it pop up immediately. I cannot see the ones that I've previously rejected. There is one that I know that I've rejected multiple times, and the reason is school has flagged that account as spam. So I just thought I'd reject it. All right, but if that was you and you're legitimately trying to join, I apologize, and I'd love to have you in there. Just try again, and I'll just check with you if that is you. You can give me a thumbs up or something if it's the right name, but yeah, happy to try and get you in. I can't see any that have tried recently. Let me have a look at my notifications. Oh, Tufik. If you don't have to tell me your real name, you just have to tell me your initials. Okay, if you can tell me your initials, all right, and they line up with the person that I can see that's trying to join, I'll be happy to accept. Just let me know. All right. But there is someone with certain initials there that, yeah, I've rejected multiple times because they flagged as spam. I don't know any better. Okay. All right, so onto this part. We're going to save this one as, let me find it here. We've got the right version. So I'm going to grab this file name, and I'm going to go here to this file. This is the new one, and go save as. And I want to go to my folder with all the parts library, and I'm going to save it in here. Tufik, yep, the name could be different, that's fine. I just need you to send your request, but here in the chat, just tell me what your initials are for that person that keeps getting rejected. And then I'll make sure you get through, because I can see you're a real person, not a bot or something like that. All right, so this part I've put in And all we're going to do in this part, because I'm just trying to create the right-hand version, I'm going to do a mirror feature, and I'm going to select this body. I'm going to uncheck merge, press OK, and then I'm going to use delete keep bodies, and I'm going to keep the one that I've mirrored, and I'm going to save it. And now I've got a left version and a right version. So if we have a look at our two screens, you can see the original. Let me swap them around. Okay, so we've got the original on the left, and we've got the mirrored version on the right, a little bit darker, so it makes it easier to tell the difference. Now, check this out. This is something that not a lot of people see or do in SolidWorks. This link is active right now. So if I go into this part here, and let's say I just delete, let's do something really obvious. So I'm going to chop this one off. Okay, I'm going to do a cut all the way through. Okay, while I'm clicked in this file is active, nothing updates. As soon as I click in this file over here, update. And you can see that feature's pulled across. That's your top-down modeling system in a very simple example. All right, and so obviously you can do stuff that's a lot more complicated than this. And this is how I create some really complex product designs. The cup holder mount that's on my screen that you can sometimes see, that is one that I've done top-down modeling for. There's a couple of videos. There's one video from a demonstration I did on that project that's on the channel, YouTube channel, which you can see. It'll tell you a bit about it. And there's a few other examples as well, which you can check out. So off-road, are the dimensions features linked to? Yes, they are. So, like for example, if we change a dimension here, 23.9, and let's go to 35. When I click over here, update straight away. Yeah, so it's really good. It's really powerful. What can happen, like some of the downsides, is sometimes save all the files, close them, open them up again. Sometimes they can lose the link. All right, so it won't update immediately. You might have to force it to update. You might have to go edit feature here. That can update it. Other times you might change the version of that file. So you made changes, you want to say version 2, but this file, if it wasn't open at the time when you saved the new version, this one will be linked to version 1. But you can manually update those links. So there are ways to do it, and as you get more experience, things become easier. Yeah. Something I love, I really enjoyed that kind of system, top down. All right, so let's put these two features back. Let's remove those, close that sketch, save that file, click in here, that one updates, save that, and let's open my assembly, and we'll put them both in the assembly, and that's another 2 parts done very easily. Now, we didn't do the same thing for these 2 parts here. I think maybe we should have. We'll have a look at those in a second. What did we do? Wedge plate right? No, we did. We did the same thing for these 2. So we did a mirror and keep bodies. So those 2 should be linked as well. So let's insert both. So we've got right and left. Very good. Another 2 done. Let's check out our list. They're both done. We are getting there. We're very close. This one, I'm just going to blank out. We don't need it because it's not part of the actual set. We're not doing minifigs just yet. We're just focusing on the geometry. So hold your horses on that. We've got this round green one to do. Now there is another round part here that we did, this one over here. So the geometry is probably going to be the same. So we can either copy from that or copy from like the flat one that we did here. Let's refer to both. Okay, so we've got, ooh, we did make a mistake here. We shouldn't have two of those because we need one of those flat ones. So I'm gonna have to insert that. Just go to my library quickly and find it. Probably should search. There we go. Okay, so we've got that one and we've got the round one. The round one's going to have the dimensions for us. Let's go find the file. It's here. So we know when we're saving, we're going to go save as copy and open so we don't override the one that's currently in the assembly. Once the file name's changed, then we're ready to edit. Okay, so this part underneath looks a little bit different. That's okay. Let's flick over to the round one for reference, because this has our dimensions. And I think what we'll see is a 4x4 with then two round sections taken out of it. So if we roll up to here, 15.8, then we have 7.7 for the circle right on that outside edge. Makes sense? 7.7. Yep, okay. So for this, we'd roll up, we change this to square. We then I'm going to come into this sketch. So it's going to be a circle on the outside and then one that is offset 7.7. Reverse. All right, so we're going to do a bit of a cheat here. I'm going to accept this. It's going to give me an error warning, and I go exit anyway, and it's going to give me an error. It's fine. I'm going to edit the feature, and I'm going to click contours, and I'm going to click into this section, and that's going to keep my square there, keep my circle there, but just extrude the section that we need. Much quicker result. Now the shell going to get an error because it's lost the surface, the face. I'll just reselect that face. It'll be okay. And then do a quick measurement. And I think it's a bit thicker. 1.5 rather than 1.2. So we're going to increase the thickness. And then we can keep going with our detail. So roll down. We're going to update the sketch. And we probably have to update the sketch face as well. Yeah. But this is a cut extrude thin, cutting away material from the outside edge that we've converted to get that kind of lip shape around it. So that's pretty good. It's got a couple of fillets on it. I think they're going to get some errors. we have, it's going to be the 4 edges. Now they're very, very small details. I don't think they're this big. I think we'll actually take them out. We could put these ones in though. So I want to go for these 4 edges and the top. Happy to do fillets for this one. Okay, and to Tufik, if you have requested to join, you can let me know your initials for your join. I'll be happy to accept you. I can see it's come through. Just let me know. Okay, and now on the underside, we have a cut in the middle, which we'll have to get rid of, and then some ribs. Very, very small, annoying detail, but we'll get it done. The cut is a certain width. .4. For something like that, we can do like a slot from here to here. And it doesn't go over this edge, so it's just going to remove the material that we want in the middle. That's perfect. The tab is up against Dom in the speed competition tomorrow. Speed modeling competition over on Too Tall Toby's YouTube. So check that out, anyone. If you haven't heard speed modeling before, have a look. It is a lot of fun. And the tab is very fast, 2-time champion. Congrats. Right, the rib on the bottom. We're going to do this with a singular sketch. Oh, I've put the cut on the wrong side. Put the cut on the wrong side. I'm going to have to change that and just flip it. Nope, I'm going to have to put it somewhere else. And that one has to move as well. Coincident. Midpoint. Coincident. Yeah, that's better. I'm going to right click and change this to driven. That's much better now. Okay. Now we can do our sketch. So we've got, this looks like it comes across, down, down, and one through the middle, going up to there. Dimension-wise, it's a bit tricky to get accurate. 3.6. Whatever thickness we're going to do for this little rib, I want to halve it, so it's 0.8. So I'm going to add 0.4 to this dimension, which is, we'll take off 0.4, so 3.2. So from here to here, 3.2. Make sure these two are perpendicular. Then I can dimension inside corners as a reference, 7.5. I'm going to take off 0.8 from that. 7.5 minus 0.8. All right, now it's fully defined. So we extrude it, mid-plane, 0.8, down, going up to surface. The one thing with this, those little sketch endpoints there, I'm going to have to move those. That doesn't look right. To get them to join up properly. So I'm going to edit that sketch. Bump that back up. Move these to just move it inwards. I want to make them equal. One there. Okay, and let's find a better way of dimensioning that. I'm going to dimension from those two inside corners. 3.8. And just make sure this bit goes over this edge. Hold shift when you do it. 0.5. Okay, now it joins up all the way. And we're happy with that detail. Not going to worry about those two little ribs in there. All right, let's save that one. That is a green part as well. Delete the feature we don't need. And insert it into our assembly. And then for the color, this is, what kind of color is it? It's a dark green. For colors, we can refer to rebrickable. It's going to tell us. I think it's green. And does green show me the actual color? No, but there's another Lego page that does. I just don't have it open. But what I'm going to do is edit the appearance. Yeah, color picker, exactly. The color picker can go anywhere on your screen, so I can go off screen to that. Press OK. And that looks pretty good. Nice one. Another one done. This one's going to be grey, but I think we'll change the color later. It's this one here. Now we have these two parts. These are the parts we got left, not many. Very close. We've got half an hour to try and get them done. So let's try and go fast. Let's do this one. Cut corner. Grey. And there is a right and a left version. Wedge plate left. We're going to save as a copy and open. So this one was done as a configuration. It's a great tip from Toby, for sure. Save as copy and open. Wedge plate left, 202. Left is this one. So the part that we did here, we did this in configurations originally. This was part of the off-road buggy project. So I've got a lot of varieties here, which I've gone away from doing configurations like this. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the 2x2, that's the default. I'm going to add a temporary one. I'm going to delete the default configuration. I'm going to add a new default configuration. I'm going to delete everything else. And then I'm going to delete all the features that we're not using, except for the one at the very end, which was the cut corner. Is it going to work? Oh, it's the wrong feature. And where was the cut corner? Here? Yeah. So I'll use that. And I'll use that. Delete all of these. So I'm very quickly just using existing geometry, cleaning up, getting rid of any stuff I don't need, and then I'm going to edit the sketch to change where that cut's happening. Kev, I had 10 axles of different sizes and colors and configs, but I got it messed up. Yeah, it does get, if you start to add lots and you don't manage your configurations well, it can cause you a lot of grief. I've learnt this through experience. Now, it looks like the angle is different, and that's it. But we'll do some measurements to double check. So, you know, how big is this one across here? 7.9. All right, it's going to be right in the middle. 7.9. And how big is this end? 15.2. So that's actually going to come down the other side. So what we'll do, bring it to the corner, we'll split entities here, delete the collinear relationship, and just bring it around. Just fully define that corner, and then go from here to here, 15.2. All right, now it's going to cut across there. And then I'm going to edit the delete face feature and also delete this stud here. So I've got rid of both studs. It's my stud size. It's fine. Okay. We've then, if we flip over, oh, we were close. The detail's not quite right. You can see you do have a little boss thing happening in the middle, but it's a different dimensions. It is 3 millimeters with a 0.9 mil thickness. We'll keep the 0.8 there, that's fine. But change that to 3. Edit this sketch and move it so it is between those two. So we'll grab that and make it horizontal, that and that, and make it vertical. So now it's in the right position. We also need a line going across. We can put this in the sketch as well. That line section is 1.2 thick, and the gap 4.9. So go here to here, 1.2 and 4.9. Toby jumped on the stream last week, actually. I think he was up early doing some setup. It was good to have a quick chat with him. Seems to be going pretty well with the websites and different platforms. for all those that have been paying attention. All right, so then it's got a cut on the end. It's got a little groove here, a little bump section there. Don't know if we'll worry about the bump, but we'll get the cut in. So there's a section, very small section here, 2.3, and then a gap of 5.3. So quickly draw this, 2.3. .3 perpendicular. And then what's this little section here? There's a little round. It's nearly impossible to dimension that. So we'll just put it in as reference. .4, 3. All right. We'll put in two sketch points. So I put the sketch points on the circle, then I put the sketch points on the line. Then I can dimension between those points. And from this point to this point. And it's not going to fully define it because I haven't defined the radius, but I can measure the inside. I think, yeah, like 1.2 millimeters. So from there to there. No, that doesn't work. So that was wrong. Unless the thickness of my part shell is wrong. Could be. Yep, it is. Accept the sketch, change my shell. Shell should be 1.5. Edit this sketch, change this dimension, 1.2. Now it works. There we go. And then extruded cut all the way down to surface. Okay. Off-road submitted a model request on Discord. Would be interested to know your thoughts about time at the end of the stream. Fantastic. Let me bring it up. And see if I can help you out. Also, Tufik Bayet. I'm waiting to hear from you if you want to confirm your membership request, your name that you have on school. So just send me your initials or send me your location and I'll be happy to accept you. I just want to make sure it's not a spam request. Okay. All right, this part's another one done. Great. Let's save. We have to do a right-hand version as well. So again, we repeat the process that we did last time. So we bring up our file. So we'll get our file name. So we did the left. This time we're going to do right. Wedge plate right. Yep. And we'll go new part. Cool. RC truck. I'm definitely going to bring it up on stream because that's what I'm here to do. Get to that in a second. Let's first just finish this one off. Mirror that body, not merge it. Keep. Save. Paste. Space. Insert to assembly. Beautiful. Another 2 parts done. Save the assembly. And come back and tick them off. 1, 2. All right, I'm having a look at Discord. So for anyone that asks or is curious, on my Discord, I have a model request channel. Feel free to jump in there. All the Discord links are on the bottom of the stream somewhere. And you can put something in here if you're curious. So let's see. Let me have a quick look. So from Off-Road 246. Could be a very long series. So Off-Road's asking me if I'd like to break down and CAD model an assembly of an RC car. And I'll show people what he's suggesting. Oh, man. You got an $800 car you want to send me? Scroll down and click on the exploited view tab under the photos to show some exploded assemblies. We've got the gallery. Pretty neat. It will be a pretty long-winded surfacing project. Potentially a lot of fun. Exploited views tab. There we go. Oh boy. Yeah, to recreate this, that would be a pretty big project. Look at the frame. Doing a frame like this would be a great project for weldments, I believe. Yeah, it wouldn't take, I don't know how long it would take. Like the wheels, they're like Lego parts, right? No problem. I look at the frame and I guess the chassis. Like all this would take a lot just because there's a lot of different parts. And as you've seen with the Lego, it helps with the Lego because I can create a new one pretty easily. Yeah, I wonder what you'd find on GrabCAD or around on different forums. I'm sure people have done them. I've seen some really cool 3D printed RC car stuff. So there's definitely some channels out there that do this kind of thing regularly. Off-Road, I appreciate the suggestion. Thank you very much. It does look like a bit more work than I would have in mind. That being said, if there was a specific part or kind of feature or something like that that you wanted help with or wanted me to try and recreate or give you some advice on, I'd be happy to do that. I don't think I want to model a whole RC car at the moment. I am more interested in continuing down the Lego path because it is a system, as we talked about a bit earlier. There's stuff that I can build on as I'm going from series to series. So thank you, but I'll pass, but happy to help. Happy to help if, yeah, if there's something that you want specific help with. All right. Thank you very much, though. Okay, let's keep going. Rats. couple of parts left, a couple in front of me. About 15 minutes to go. Can we finish them? Pretty close. Got this very simple round part. What should we do to finish off? Should we just have a look at the assembly? Because if the assembly, I wanted to get a little start on the assembly, or we should just finish the parts. I've got 15 minutes. We're not going to get much of the assembly done. So let's just keep going through the list. Tick them off. Okay, we'll do this bar one. A panel 1x3x1 looks pretty boring, which it is, but we need it. So it looks a bit like this one. Yeah, off-road, have you heard of GrabCAD? GrabCAD's been around for a while. I have a profile on GrabCAD. It has some very old SolidWorks models from me. Nothing too interesting, but it is a place where people can post public files. So maybe someone's done it or done similar. Check it out. All right, this one. I picked this because we've already got the same detail on the bottom. Okay. And we've probably got the right size. We've just got to change the profile. So I'm going to come back here and change this shape, which I'm pretty sure is done on this side, to what you can see I'm holding. And to do that, I'm going to use split entities. So split entities, I'm going to split this sketch here into 3 sections. I'm then going to delete the collinear relationship that's been added. I'm going to make the top section and the bottom sections horizontal and make this section vertical, and then add some dimensions. 1.5. And just double check, like the height of this one, it's 9.6, so it's a bit taller. 6, and check the dimension at the front. I had 2, it's actually going to be 3.2. All right, but the whole width, I think, is going to be pretty much the same. So we go OK. All right, and then I can roll down because that feature is the same. It's got, no, it's not. Completely flat on the bottom. So I can just delete that cut thin. Yeah, FBV Kev has found some stuff on GrabCAD. So check that out. Put that into your search bar on GrabCAD. There's a library search feature that will probably go a long way to sorting you out. Now we have a cut extrude on the bottom here. Thickness around the sides, 1.5. So I've got to edit the cut extrude. I want to change the surface to here. It's going to go offset from there. Make it 1.5. And also edit the sketch which was offset, and change that offset to 1.5. Looking good. I'm not going to keep those fillets, get rid of those. Cut extrude here, I'm going to delete, don't need that. And then I'll just keep the last feature on the bottom. And that makes it nice and easy. Just make sure I've got all the sketches. Update the dangling dimensions. Simply a midpoint to horizontal relationship here. All right, that is another part done. That does have the corners rounded off though. I'll just put those in. So very small radiuses there. I'm going to guess 1 millimeter. Save those. And yeah, chuck that one in as well. Off-road, yeah, it's a little too detailed for a part-time YouTube series in your free time. It's almost as complicated as a real car. I kind of want to try myself, but not sure if I'm at that level. There's only one way to get to that level, and that is to try hard projects. So what are you going to do off-road? 5246. If you want to get there, you have to practice. Now, I do this practice, a little bit of fun, a little bit of content, a little bit of lessons for people. Even for me, this stuff helps, makes me better and quicker because I'm learning new little tools and tricks and shortcuts all the time. So don't be afraid. What's the worst that can happen? Give it a go, I say. Just start with something simple and try and build on it. This round one, I think we've done that before. I think we can find that one. If it's a good project, if it's fun, yeah, go for it. 3 years, 3 years of, imagine what you could learn in that time doing it. Now I say, why not? Why not? We have done that one. Good. I don't need to model it, so I'm going to open it and just insert that into the assembly. Yeah. Save that one. Okay, 5 pieces left. This brick, this will have to be really easy. Oh, man. Can't get rid of this cough. Just staying around for weeks and weeks. All right, I don't have a single block like this part. I think I've only got larger bricks. All right, it's going to be very similar to this. I think we'll open that one as our starting point. This one here. So this part that we're going to do is Technique brick with axle hole. So we're going to file, save as. FBB Kev, yeah, that's kind of why I'm into it, I reckon. And, you know, I'm starting to build this library, and I'm sure there's other people that have done similar stuff out there, but I see it that something's just going to evolve over time, and other people might join in. And, yeah, get into it a bit more. And eventually, yeah, I don't know what it will turn into, but maybe some more classes or courses. That would be cool. All right, so this block is going to be pretty simple. I just need to extrude it up full height. I'm going to delete all the configuration stuff that I don't need. So all the features that are here that I don't need, just clear them out. Okay, so first feature, what did I say? 9.6. Yeah, and then the studs on the top, they're the same, except they're, although they're not the same. I'll just put a internal wall, 0.9. So let's offset that, reverse, 0.9, and then mirror that one. So now I just get the stud on the outside, perfect. Now it has, I'm going to do the cut. Interesting part. I can't quite tell if there's kind of a hole through the side. I think there is. I think this part here actually goes all the way through. It does. So it's not, the shell isn't quite done afterwards. The shell's done beforehand, so we can leave the shell in. Let's just update the thickness because it does look a bit thicker. 1.5. Then we have, there is a bit of thickness that goes through the middle, 4 millimeters. It doesn't go all the way down, but we're trying to move pretty quickly on these last ones. They might not be as accurate as everything else, but any interferences we'll deal with when we get to the assembly. I'm not too concerned with that. We're going to go up to next. We're going to offset it 1 millimeter or a bit more. And then it's got a round bit in the middle that is 3 millimeters. That one there. Let's start on that face. Change the sketch. Get rid of that inside. Change that to 3. And edit this feature to come down to surface. And then on the side, we put our cut through. And so we're just picking one side and we're going to find that size. It's going to be 5 by 5 by 2. Yeah. All right, so this one's actually, it's a circle, 5. And then we put a little corner in like this, make that equal. And we're going to do a little circular pattern. But the pattern's going to go around the midpoint of like that. And then I just have to fully define the whole thing. So put that vertically above the origin, and then I find the lowest point of the circle, and that is 3.4 from the bottom. 3.4. And dimension one of these to 2 millimeters, and then use it to cut through. Good. Extrude cut, select that contour, go through all. If I've done it correctly, I'll see a little hole here, which I can. Yeah, so that's how it looks. The real part's got a bit of a hole that pops through the sides. That's great. Save that. Drop that into the assembly. And we have reached, I think, the end of the stream, even though I've got 3 parts to go. I think I'm going to finish those off stream and get everything ready to go, all the files accessible for everyone. All right, so I move all the files into my public folder. I'll put a new link up, and for the next stream in 2 weeks, assuming we're on, we should be, that'll be all the assembly. So what we'll do in that next one, I'll bring up the assembly instructions. I'll have a link available. It'll be a little stream going through assembly processes. So I'll talk about all the different types of mates. We'll look at how we can save time and keep things organized, use the mirror feature, and we'll basically go through and build the assembly like they do in these instructions. So it's kind of the fun step at the end. We've got all the parts, we skipped that guy, but yeah, we'll build it up bit by bit. So I'll make sure I've modeled everything we need. Yeah, we'll start to use some mirror features. We'll apply some appearances. If we get time, we'll do an exploded view. Maybe a little sub-assembly for this part. I think we've done pretty much all of those parts yet. There's only a few I haven't seen. And we'll get to there. And then maybe I'll download a minifig. I'll have a look and see what's available. But that'll be in our next stream in 2 weeks. So look forward to that. So thank you. Thank you everyone that jumped on tonight and had a chat. Good to see you. I've got Off-Road, FPV Kev, Khalil, Adyar, Edward. Hope you're doing well, mate. Hope your swag's going well as well. Matab, good luck in your speed modeling comp on the weekend. Tufik, I've approved your membership. Hopefully you are not spam. And I'll see you in the fully defined community. And yeah, thanks everyone. So anyone that jumped on late, my name's Chris, SolidWorks, certified SolidWorks expert here, giving free classes online. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you had a bit of fun in the stream. If you missed it, or if you're interested in any of the content, jump on Fully Defined on School, where you'll see all my lessons and a lot of links to resources and some free classes. Thank you, everyone. Have a great weekend coming up, and I'll see you again soon. Cheers.